Hello guys, this is a demonstration of how we can configure NFS server on our Linux machine. This example shows two virtual machines here. One is a server, the other one is the client. We are going to create a directory var share on the server, and we want to use this directory on the client machine using /mnt/share as a directory. We'll be using NFS mounting on the client so that we can get all the contents of that directory on the client side of it. So let's dig into it. Now to do this, I'm going to use the Vagrant, and it seems like the Vagrant machines are already up and running. So I can see there is a server machine and there is a client machine. Now if you want to implement the NFS here, we'll start with the configuration of server. So I'm going to use again the Vagrant, say SSH, and we will log into the server machine. So the very first task here is to get the NFS installed. To install NFS, we have to say sudo yum install NFS utils. So NFS utils is the package which is used for installing both server and the client for the NFS there. So it's getting installed. It will take a second or two, and once it gets installed, we'll start creating the share here. So as per our diagram here, we want to create a directory under var named share, and we want to share this directory with the client here. Okay. Now to do this, first of all, we need to know whether the server and the client are in the same IP address. So I want to check that by using IP-addr show. It seems like my IP address here is 192.168.1.99, means my client and server, both of them are in a network. It is 192.168.1.0/24. So this is the network that we are using, and it is important because when we are using NFS is not user based, it is host based. When I say host based, NFS needs to know which machine is getting or which machine is allowed to connect to that share. So I want to use this 192.168.1.0 in order to whitelist all the clients or all the Linux operating systems inside my network. So to do this, I'm going to create a new directory here. My directory name should be, in this case, is share. It should be inside var. So let's say sudo mkdir/var/share. So this is where we are going to put the files, and we'll share them with the client. Maybe just for an example, I can go back to the share here and say let's create some files. Maybe I can say touch file 1 to 10, and I want those files to be created. It should be sudo. So if I look at the files are created here. Wonderful. Now I want to share this directory /var/share with my client. To do this, we'll have to create the create the share point inside my /etc/exports. So open that file /etc/exports and make sure that you are adding the entry for all the network. So the directory is /var/share. I want to enable it for all the users or all the machines in this network 1.0/24 with RW, meaning the users will be able to read the contents of this directory at the same time, write the contents in the directory, and I would also enable no root squash. Wonderful. So this means my server is already, the NFS share is already going to get shared. My server is almost getting configured here. I think that's the only thing we are going to need. The rest, we need to just enable the server, make sure that everything is looking great. So first, enable the server. So maybe I can say sudo systemcdl start. We'll first enable that. Enable NFS server. Okay, and then let's start this. Okay, and let's check the status of it as well. So just want to make sure that everything is looking great. It seems like it is active. Wonderful. Now before we say like we are done, I want to make sure that there is no mistake in the exports file. So what I'm going to do right now is use that command export fs -e. Export fs will go into the /etc/exports and will try to export all the entries there. If there is any problem, you will see that problem right here. Just for an example, if I say /etc/exports, and if I make a mistake here, let's say I want to go back here and say this directory does not exist for me, let's say share 2, and I'm trying to share this with NFS. Now if I use export fs, it shows me that there is an error inside that file, where in this case the directory does not exist, which is valid. So Before you say you are done and before you want your client to start connecting to your machine, you will always want to check that with export fs command. So say export fs -a, this will try to share everything, and again if there is any problem you can see that right there. Okay, so it seems like everything looks okay. Now again, before we say we are done, I want to show the mounts available on this machine using NFS. So you can use the command show mount -e localhost. I'm on the same machine, so I can see that this is how we are trying to do this. Oh, it seems like it is sharing both of them. Actually speaking, this is not valid for me, so I want to remove this entry. Okay, so to remove this entry, you just need to restart your server. Say sudo yum, I'm sorry, it's not yum, my bad, it's systemctl restart NFS server. So once you restart it, and if you try to say show mount, you see the entry is gone. That was invalid entry, it was cached by the time, so it's okay. So we can see /var/share is ready, but I cannot share this unless I have the firewall rules added, so to add the firewall rules we have to say sudo firewall cmd --add service, I'm sorry, service, it should be NFS permanent. Then I want to go for mount D, and I want to also go for RPC mount. So add service RPC bind. That's it. So it seems like all my firewall rules are added. So maybe we can say sudo firewall cmd --reload. So this will reload, and I want to check if the things are really working fine. So maybe I can come back here, I can say list services, and this will list down all the services that I mentioned here. So there is a mount D, NFS and RPC bind. So my server configuration is I think we are done. Maybe I can just exit from here, and now I'll be going to the client part of it. So if I look at the diagram, we are done with creating the share, we are done with sharing it. Now we are jumping to the client. We'll create this directory and we'll mount this directory for this share. Let's see how it can be done. First thing, we'll have to install NFS. To install NFS, again it's sudo yum install NFS utils. You might have observed that NFS utils is the same package that we used earlier for installing the client version. Okay, it seems like I already have installed it on this machine. Wonderful. Now let's create a new directory here. So sudo/mnt/share. So this is the directory. Oh, sorry, mkdir. This is the directory I want to create here. It seems like the mkdir share directory already exists. Maybe I can delete it. So I can say rm -rf, and then let's create it one more time. So now we have the fresh directory here. There is nothing inside it. The directory has been created for me, and I can check that under /mnt. So mnt is showing me that the directory share exists here. Now before I said anything, I want to use that command find mnt, and you see that in find mnt I'm not able to see anything related to that share, the one which we just have created under /mnt. So I want the share directory here to be mounted from here to here, So to do this, I'm going to go back and say sudo mount -d NFS, that is the protocol, or you can say the network file system that we want to use from 192.168.1.99:var/share, and I want to mount it in /mnt/share. So this is the command that will be used for mounting this share /var/share from this server to the local directory /mnt/share. Okay, let me use the find mnt command and see if it is getting mounted, and I can see that it is kind of getting mounted here. Now if you have a question like how do I know which shares are available from the server side here, so maybe I can use the command again, sudo show mount -e and the server IP address 192.168.1.99, and it seems like on this server I'm having one share that's /var/share, and thus I can use it for mounting. Now because I already have mounted, I can go to that directory /mnt/share, and if I say ls, I see all the files that I created earlier on the server. Now if I go here, if I create a new directory, let's say new directory, for example I'll be again using, I'll have to use sudo here, all right. And if I go for this and if I create the files here, maybe I can say, maybe I can say sudo touch file. Again, maybe I want to start with 3 to 30, and probably if I said ls, I can see that 3, 4, I can see that all the files are available here now. I mean, from 3 to 30, I should have said actually 21 to 30, but it's okay. I can see all the files right there. So precisely what I'm trying to show you here is like the files, the directories I'm creating here from the client side, and those are getting created on the server side. So if you look at the diagram here, when I created a file inside this share, which is a directory for me, which is mounted for this file, or this this directory on the server, whenever I'm creating anything here, the file is getting created on this server here. Okay, that is a small demo of how do you use that NFS on your server and the client. Okay guys, thank you.